The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
So I want to tell you a story that a Yid once told me, that he's sitting and learning with his chavrusa. I'm making up names, okay? The names are made up, but just to give you the idea of the story. And he knows his chavrusa is looking for a shidduch for his daughter, and somebody calls up, somebody calls him at like 12:30 at night. He doesn't pick up the phone, but the man calls back and calls back and calls back. You know, there's certain people that do that. They say, ask once, right? You tell your kid, ask the neighbor, can I go play? Ask the mother once, okay? Right? Can I play? Not right now. Can I come play by you? Not right now. Can I play by you? Not right now. Can I come play by you? Not right now. Can I come play by you? What is with your kid? I told you to ask once, okay. But she didn't say yes yet. It's once until she says yes. In other words, that's the first time. When she says yes, that's once. The next time is what? Depends how you call once. This person calls and calls and calls and calls and calls, and finally he picks up the phone. Hello, this is Mr. Klein. Did I wake you? No, the telephone did. How can I help you? He says, I know you're chavrusas with so-and-so. He says, yes, I am chavrusas with so-and-so. Yes. Can you give me information about the bacher? For your daughter. Well, of course I'm asking about my daughter. Who else would I be asking for? Don't get obnoxious, okay? He says, very, very good bacher. Mamish, wonderful family. Tell me something, but tell me the truth. Yeah. Does this bacher have slip-on shoes, or does he have lace shoes? Can I ask you why in the world it makes a difference? Because if he has slip-on shoes, to me, that means the bacher is shirking mitzvahs. Because you're supposed to put on your right shoe first, then your left shoe, and tie your left shoe first, then your right shoe, and he's looking for the easy way out. Honestly, I don't know what kind of shoes the bacher has. You're hiding things. Get off the phone with this person. I want to ask something else. This family, they use, during the week, they use paper dishes, or they use plastic, or they use regular plates. I really don't know. I see you're not leveling with me. Boom. You're hiding something. Wow. Okay, I have to remember. So he, a few days later, the chavrisa says to him, they're reading me two shidduchim for my daughter. Somebody Rosenberg and somebody Klein. I don't know. Both bachrim seem to be very good bachrim. I don't know which way to go. So he says, listen, I hope this is not Lashon Hara. I think it's L'Teyeles. Maybe the bacher is a very good bacher, but I would stay away from the Kleins. Why? The father is an interesting person, to say the least. Shkoich for telling me. And 2 weeks later, there's a Vart, Mazel Tov, and he comes. He did a shidduch with Rosenberg. And the father of the girl comes over and he goes, Shalom Aleichem, I spoke to you on the phone. You did? Yeah, I didn't use my right name. I don't want you to know who I am. I said my name is Klein. You know what I mean? Like, said Simonish Git. Okay? So I guess if a shidduch is bashert, it's bashert. And it has to happen. Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonnefeld was once walking Pesach in the morning after the Seder. And he met a father walking with a cute little boy. And he said to the boy, asked him Anashtana yesterday? And the boy said, sure. And Rabbi Yosef Chaim said to this 5-year-old boy, but you asked the same kashas yesterday. You don't remember last year. You don't remember the terutzim your father said? And the boy started to cry. I don't know. He didn't mean to make the boy cry. It was just a cute thing to say. So Rabbi Yosef Chaim gave him a glet and a knippet. Fast forward, 15 years later, 16 years later, 17 years later, I don't know when. The father of this boy came in and he asked Rabbi Yosef Chaim to give him haskama on his sefer. Rabbi Yosef Chaim said, I don't give haskamas. I'll look through it. He looked through the sefer and he quotes something from his son. Yosef Chaim gives him a haskama, says the Mordechai sefer, and he writes befrat what he quoted from his son. Aliyah Shavart. 2 days later, the son is a chassan. What happened? They were trying to do a certain shidduch. The shidduch didn't go through. I didn't have cheshik. Someone threw in a lashon hara about the son, but he saw Rabbi Yosef Chaim never gives haskamas. And here in the haskama, what does he write? He writes, the bacher is an illy. Wow! I want this shidduch. Yosef Chaim said, it wasn't such an aliyah shavart, but it bothered me all the years that I made this little boy cry. And I wondered when I would have an opportunity to make it up for him. His father came with the sefer. I figured I'm going to throw in these words. You understand how the Eibush is Mesav Vasibais? The Eibush, the rabbis machshavos belev ish, matzas Hashem, hisakim, and the Rebbeinu Shalom puts things into place. So you know the story. So I heard this story from someone that says he saw it. There was a man who was waiting for the Rebbe Zecher Tzadik L'Vracha the entire night. The entire night. They weren't letting him in. The Gaborim weren't letting him in. And the Gab is walking in and out. At one point he went over to the Gab, let me in. No, you can't go in. No, you're not ready. And they got into like a shove back and forth. And the Gabbai gave this man a smack across his face. And he got so angry, he pushed the Gabbai away and he stormed in. He burst into tears. The Rebbe said, what's the matter? He says, I have a 30-year-old daughter as a geitnish, he says. And you're a shidduch. The Rebbe said, very good shidduch for you. Who? He says, my hosbucher, my Gabbai. He said, Rebbe, he just slapped me. So the Rebbe said, Ni apusik, yad ha'edim b'rishayna. The yad from the edim, the son-in-law, comes first. That's all. And they got married. And they're happily married. Shidduchim has to come through a level of frustration. As I state, the Shulman says a story of a son-in-law. He's becoming a cipher. Became a cipher, Maridik a cipher, and he wrote a Megillah, and it was a terrible Megillah. I mean, big letters, small letters, crooked letters. It was mamish like, I don't know if it was kusha, not kusha. It was a strange Megillah. And he gave it to his father-in-law, and his father-in-law didn't want to embarrass his son-in-law, so he gave it to a cipher, and he said to the cipher, do me a favor, find someone to buy this. He says, I got to find the shikar at it, who's going to buy this. He came to America, this cipher, with a bunch of Megillahs, and again, it's to a rich Yid, and this Yid is a Samayvan of Megillah, supposedly, even though he had absolutely no experience. This Megillah, no, this Megillah, no, this Megillah, no. I only see there's no more Megillahs. He takes addition and he goes, this is a Megillah. This has art to it. This has personality to it. The other Megillahs look like they're printed. And he gave him a nice price for the Megillah. The Hashem has a cheshbon. Hashem has a cheshbon where things work and how things work, even though to us it seems odd. The couple that Klal Yisrael knows best in terms of Shalom Bayis, the ultimate Shalom Bayis, was Reb Chaim Kanievsky and his Rebbetzin Bashev, right? They woke up every morning at 4 o'clock and he said at 3 o'clock, whenever it was, and he said Birchas HaShachar and she said Birchas HaShachar. They answered Amen for each other's brachos and story after story. And once she wasn't feeling well and he stood there by the door learning, no one should bother her, but he said he sees that his wife, she can't take it without helping people. And he never sat down to eat unless she came in, and all the stories that go on and on. I read that when they read the Shidduch for Reb Chaim, so they declared maybe it's not a good Shidduch because they heard she worked up as an office, and that's not a frum office, maybe she was exposed to things that she shouldn't have. And the Chazaynish had to say, no, Amay Achrayas, I think you should do it. I'm wondering, it was like no shaykhis to reality. But we have to go through a certain amount of worries before a Shidduch. The Rebbeinu Shalom says that's how the Shidduch is going to happen. Rebbe Yashiv came to the Chazaynish. He had his reasons not to do the Shidduch. And they sat there and they stared at each other for a long time. And the Chazaynish finally, only Stoid Hashem L'Reyav. And at the end, the Chazaynish told him, do the Shidduch, you won't have Charat. Be nice if we had a Chazaynish, no? But the Rebbeinu Shalom gives everyone what we're supposed to be. Now, I was Zaycha, and I don't know how, to my 14th Shidduch that I did this week with my son, my baby. Yeah, a bunch of people sent me brooms and mops and all kinds of things. I don't know why they sent it to me. I don't use them. And I can tell you that each of the shidduchim was a process. I can tell you two things. One is that I won the lottery on each of the shidduchim. And by each of the shidduchim, I said, no, maybe not, maybe no, but maybe not. And every one of my daigas was like, it has no shaykhis to reality. But the Rebbeinu Shalom said you have to go through the process. That's what we have to remember. There's a process and there's an end game. The end game is in the Rebbeinu Shalom's hand. Process is whatever it takes for every person to get to a shidduch. If it's not just for shidduchim. If I wouldn't have the worries that I have right now, if I wouldn't have the problems I have right now, I wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't be here. It's the reason that we're here on this world.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org